Hey, my name is Aiden, and I'm an aspiring animation student and freshman in college. Over the last 2 years, I've applied to many colleges, both art and liberal art, public and private, so I've decided to make this video to give some advice on how to give yourself the best chance of getting into your dream school. I have advice for both freshmen and transfer students, so check out the timestamps in the description if you want to jump to a certain section. First, let's go over the mandatory essay. I'm someone who loves to write, but even for me this was hard. I just didn't know what to write about. Some colleges will give you a prompt or several topics to cover, and if you dig, most schools will offer some advice on what they want to see. For those of you who hate writing essays, sticking to these guidelines can help. For those of you who love to write, try to show your unique view through narrative, voice, and format, as well as respond to the prompts. The basic guidelines are: 1. Respond to prompts. 2. Make sure your format, spelling, grammar, and topic are all correct. Some colleges will throw out your application just for mistakes in these areas, so make sure to proofread and get someone else to help you as well. And be absolutely sure that you aren't sending one college an essay with another college's name on it. This mistake is unfortunately common. 3. Pick your story carefully. Colleges want to know about you, so tell them what makes you unique and give them a reason why you're the best applicant for the program. 4. Don't worry too much about the essay. You're never going to hear back from the college on it, and art schools consider your portfolio more than anything else. You have to submit the essay, so just make sure it's good enough to not hurt your application. Portfolio advice. For most art school applications, this is the most important part. Schools will consider your portfolio over grades, income, essay, SAT and ACT scores, and extracurriculars. Even though you're applying as a high school artist, colleges will expect your work to be at a certain level. They can't teach you everything, so depending on your chosen major and if the school has a foundation year, they might expect a higher level of expertise. General advice is, animation programs won't expect to see animation in your portfolio, unless it's CalArts or SVA. If you've never done photography, painting, sculpture, or the art form you're applying to major in, some schools will reject you or ask you to pick a different major if they like everything else in your application. Ringling will do this. Some majors, depending on the college, won't require you to be good at art at all, like graphic design and 3D animation. The best advice I can offer is: 1. Have variety in your portfolio. As an animation applicant, I've submitted photography, sculpture, painting, drawing, animation, film, writing, comics, storyboards, and even zines. Yes, I did say writing. If your creative writing is good, then consider submitting it. Animation and film programs like applicants who can write. 2. If you're applying for a drawing-heavy major, submit figure studies from life. If you can't find a local nude study class, then have some friends pose for you in their bathing suits. This is a very necessary part of an application. The college wants to see your ability to draw from life and your anatomy skills, so including coffee shop studies and still lifes will improve your portfolio as well. 3. Most colleges say they want 8 to 20 pieces and will give you the option to write descriptions of your pieces. Always fill in the descriptions, even if it's optional. If you're using SlideRoom and applying to many schools, at least one will require all fields filled, so it's most convenient to import the same info for each application. As for the amount of pieces you submit, make sure you're showing variety in your best work. The people who review your application see hundreds, so make sure you're only putting your best work in. If that means you only submit 10 pieces, that's fine. Just remember the portfolio is the most important part. Interview advice. Some of you might have an interview or in-person portfolio review as part of your application. It's different for every college, but the interview is usually pretty important, and sometimes half the work is getting one. Don't be too nervous. If your portfolio or other application materials are strong, they'll carry you to admissions. The interview is mostly so professors can assess your personality and ask some questions to see if you're a good fit for the program. You'd have to be really rude to have it wreck your chances. I've recently had my first ever interview, and it went really well, so just keep in mind that the professors expect you to be nervous, and they're usually very patient and nice. Every college is different, so make sure you have an idea of the questions you'll be asked before you go in. That way you can be prepared and not so nervous. A lot of art colleges don't have interviews, but many attend National Portfolio Day. Going to Portfolio Day is a great way to get your foot in the door with admissions at colleges you want to attend, so if you can, you should definitely go. General advice for interviews are: 1. Don't be too nervous. The interview won't make or break your application. 2. Wear nice clothes. You want to make a good first impression, so either dress like you normally would, if you dress presentably, Or if you're a slob like me, wear something nicer. A dress shirt and pants can go a long way. 3. Bring the materials they ask for. Whether that's a physical portfolio or disc with video, make sure you have it. Not being prepared in this way could potentially hurt your chances. 4. Be yourself. Make a joke, have a conversation with your interviewers. Don't be tense. Give them an idea of what kind of student you'll be and what your interests are. If you sit there stiffly and answer in one-word responses, they can't see the real you. Transfer applications. If you're trying to transfer into an art school, there are some things to consider first. Unless you've been in communication with admissions at the school and have only taken relevant courses, you should expect to lose a lot of your credits. Some art schools have a foundation year where students take general art classes in many disciplines. If you've taken art classes or have AP credit, some of these freshman courses can be filled by those classes. Other times, colleges won't allow transfer students to come in as anything but a freshman, and some or all of your credits will not be accepted. Some colleges have a very strict curriculum, so it's important to do research and understand the pros and cons of transferring. You may lose years of college work, and most art schools only allow students to transfer in as a sophomore at most. General applicant advice. I applied to many different kinds of schools, and even if they say they only want a portfolio or an essay, having other points to supplement your application will go a long way. Things you should think about including on your resume or application are extracurricular activities, especially if you held office or it's related to your major or career path. Volunteer and work experience, or commission work. Internship or TA experience. Leadership or group activities. A lot of schools will have you work on group projects, so letting them know you can work in a team or lead will be good for your odds. Gallery shows, awards, and publications. If you've had professional experience in art like this, make sure you say so. If you won any kind of Scholastics Art Awards, you're also eligible for Institutional Merit Scholarship. A link to a personal website or portfolio site. If they don't say they want it, you might as well provide it. Taking AP and IB courses can also really help your odds. Even if you're applying to only art schools, having these on your application will look really good to admissions. Also, make sure you apply as early as possible. This gives you the best chance at getting merit and need-based aid. It's usually first come, first served. Q&A! Question: do I really need a high GPA, SAT, ACT score to get into art school? Answer: absolutely not. Well, it depends on what art school you're applying to, because RISD definitely requires good scores. But many art schools don't care. I graduated high school with a 2.2 unweighted GPA and an 1170 on the SAT, but I managed to get into quite a lot of art schools regardless. Of course, having a high GPA and good test scores won't hurt you, but art schools tend to consider artistic ability over academics. Question: the colleges I'm applying to all have different minimum course requirements. What classes do I need to take and which are optional? Answer: I know this is true for the UNC system in North Carolina, but some colleges require 2 language credits, a certain minimum GPA, which is usually about 2.5 unweighted, and different numbers of English, math, science, and history credits. If you know a college requires courses like these and you want to be considered, you definitely have to take the courses. You can always appeal an admission decision, but if a college requires certain high school credits, it's wise you take them. Question: I didn't get into my dream school. What should I do? Answer: if you think you've been rejected for the wrong reasons, some colleges will let you appeal an admission decision. I appealed my decision at the college I'm at now based on my GPA and scores not representing my actual ability, which I demonstrated using other scores, extenuating circumstances, and my portfolio, which hadn't been considered. You may be asked to do something to prove you are academically able to attend the college. If the school doesn't allow an appeal and you've called admissions to be sure, you can always reapply as a transfer student next year. You could even apply to transfer in for spring semester. There are many options. Question: I got into my dream school, but I can't afford it. What can I do? Answer: you can always call the financial aid department at the college and ask if you can appeal for more aid. You'll be asked to provide documents such as tax forms and write up an explanation as to why you can't pay the amount they're asking for. I successfully appealed for more aid as a freshman and got $10,000 more because of additional information not on my FAFSA. Also, make sure you filed a FAFSA. You can get grants from the government, your state if you stay in state, and your college. On top of that, you can apply for work study, which will have you work on campus to supplement costs. If you've exhausted all these options and still can't afford college, then you can apply to outside scholarships. Just know that if you receive any, it could affect your other aid. After all this, there are private loans, which you'll need a cosigner for most likely. These should be your last option because of high interest rates, lifelong debt, and other burdens these cause. If you're going to art school without a trust or college fund, you'll most likely need one of these loans, so be careful with your lender choice. Some federal loans can be forgiven under certain circumstances, but private ones will always stick around. Question: what advice do you have for a new college student, or what do you wish you knew before you applied? Answer: I wish I'd spoken with my family about private loans and cosigners before I applied to college. It may turn out your family isn't going to support you monetarily, so knowing this beforehand will help you a lot. When I came to college for the first time, I wasn't prepared for how homesick I'd be. I got super sick for a whole week and wished I could go home. This will pass, but it's going to be hard. I have it a lot worse than other people I know, but living away from home semi-permanently with a bunch of people you've never met before isn't as fun as everyone makes it out to be. If you ever feel like it's too much, there are resources on every campus to help. If you're struggling with depression, anxiety, or any other issue, you can go see someone on your campus for help, and you should. The health center is a big help for all kinds of reasons, and you should definitely use it. That's all the advice I have for transfer and freshman applicants to college. I really hope you all get into your first choice school, and even if you don't, know that college is a great experience no matter where you go. Until next time.